Welcome back to Tie Down TV, the punk rock opinion show with me, Geoff.
I'm Danny.
And today we're doing our top 5 splits. So 7 inches, 12 inches, albums, etc. Yeah. Got anything to say on splits, Dan?
I'm not. They're not my favourite thing in the world. Like, I don't. There's a few reasons I'm not a huge fan of splits, and that's quite often one side is significantly stronger than the other side.
Yeah.
Depending on the bands that are on them.
That does happen.
Obviously, there is a few absolute essential classics that I think we're going to be showing, and people probably know already what they're going to be.
Yeah.
And also another thing as well is, what point does a split become a compilation? Because I think once you're getting into 4-way splits, surely that's then like you walking into compilation territory. Do you know what I mean?
I think, yeah. I couldn't disagree with that, really.
But with being a record collector of punk rock for so long, obviously I have quite a lot of them in my collection. Yeah. So it was just a case of picking out the ones that get the most playtime, actually. Not, you know what I mean? Not ones that I consider the best, just ones that
you listen to the most. Yeah.
And some of those are down to just one side being so good.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's my opinion on splits.
Yeah. So I'm probably more of a fan of them than you then, obviously. I love a split 7-inch. I love that, getting a, and I agree, obviously, there's always going to be one side you prefer more than the other. And like the origin of them often really came down to like a financial thing more than anything.
Well, I was going to say, surely the cost was a big initiative back in the early days, especially.
Definitely. And if you were an indie label and you had a few bands, it's cost effective, and also you could, promoting 2 instead of 1, and it's, often as well, I found a bit more into like the 90s, but you'd sometimes get like a more established band with maybe a lesser known band, and it kind of gave them a leg up then as well, because fans of the more established band would go and get that split.
Yeah.
But
I also think as well, a lot of times bands don't put their best work on their splits. I think sometimes what can happen,
like what they've got lying around.
Yeah, basically what they got lying. Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, this band want to do a split. This label wants to do as a split with this band they got on a label. All right, what have we got? Oh, we got this song. I'll throw that on there. I think that can happen sometimes.
You're probably right. Yeah.
And then I think splits can become a bit ten a penny.
And they kind of are anyway. There's that many of them out there, but I still enjoy them, obviously.
But obviously, there is some classics out there.
Yeah, of course there is.
So you, as I can already see, looking down, you have picked the quintessential split in punk music, haven't you?
Pick number 1, and I'm pretty sure it's regarded as the first split in hardcore. You all know it. Faith, Void, classic DC, Discord number 8. It's, I mean, for me, in American hardcore, that is actually one of my favourite releases. There's big debate over which side's better. I can't find it maybe slightly more in the Void camp, but I go through phases with it. Like, I prefer the Faith side currently, I think, is the one I'd listen to more. But overall, I think I'd always have said the Void one. And I think it's just how nuts the Void side is. It's fucking mental, aren't they?
Very erratic.
Very erratic, very metallic influenced as well, very early doors, because it was like 82. And much like you say, anyway, about financial reasons, I think that both bands had a group of songs that wouldn't have fitted on 2 sides of a 12-inch, but wouldn't have fitted on 1 7-inch. And, Discord, Geoff and Ian decided to combine the 2, release it as a 12-inch, and it's gone down in history, hasn't it? It's one of the quintessential hardcore records, and definitely one of the quintessential classic split records. So that's my first pick.
My first, I've gone for a bit of a modern classic 7-inch. I've gone the Trapped Under Ice, Dirty Money split. I think this is a split where both bands do hang with each other pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really say that one side is, significantly weaker than the other. Trapped Under Ice songs is on this. Gemini, in my opinion, the better recording of Gemini. It was released on their first full-length album as well, but I prefer the recording on this 7-inch. And then obviously the Dirty Money side. Now, obviously, we brought up Dirty Money last week on the London Hardcore episode. It's a bit essential for Dirty Money because their only official releases are the Dead and Gone EP and this. Yeah. So it's pretty essential in that way. And it is, I would say, it is a bit of a modern classic as far as splits go.
I think so too.
So yeah, Trapped Under Ice, Dirty Money split, 7-inch.
Cool. Alright, number 2. I've gone for Despise You and Coke Bust. So this is a more recent one, it came out in 2017. It's like 2 power violence, very fast fucking bands. And Despise You, this is like them after they got back together, I think. Obviously because they split up, didn't they, originally, but I love that West Side Horizons comp, it's absolutely outstanding. This stuff on here is great, but much like Danny said, there is actually one side, it's the Coke Bus side of this that I absolutely fucking love. The Despise You side's great, it starts with like this slow like riff and then it obviously kicks in, goes hell for leather like they do. I don't know about that the Coke Bus side, especially the song Plan B, fuck me, I love it. It's like, it's a bit more hardcore orientated than the Despise You stuff, I'd say, but it still goes, you know, in the power violence range. Just fucking immense. This is definitely one of my favourites of the more recent splits for sure. And again, much like Danny said at the beginning, the ones I picked are probably ones that I play or listen to more than maybe ones that might be considered classics. But yeah, this gets a lot of rotation for me. And yeah, definitely big up the Coke Bus side.
My next is, this is absolutely right. I feel really sorry. Right. Together we stand, divided we fall. Knuckledust and Un-ite. I feel quite sorry for Un-ite a little bit on this particular release because their side is decent enough. However, they're up against a Knuckledust band at this point that this came out in between Time Won't Heal This and Universal Struggle 2001. So you're talking about a Knuckledust that were at the absolute peak of their powers, right? Now, Knuckledust also, in my opinion, put 4 songs on this that were 4 of the strongest songs he wrote to that date, wrote to date. Now, another thing that's worth noting with this as well, where Knuckledust is concerned, is 3 of the songs, up until the release of the Dustography in 2007, 3 of the songs on this were not available anywhere else but on this split. Now, Trust No One did appear on Universal Struggle. However, the next 3, Against All Odds, Chronicles of Existence and Cold Hard Truth, were only available on here until the Dustography the Dustography release. Sorry, yeah. But honestly, the songs on this release by Knuckledust are some of the best songs they ever did. Against All Odds was still being played on their live set when I last saw them, which admittedly was a long time ago. But Chronicles of Existence, oh my god. I mean, one thing I've always said I really love about Knuckledust is the fact that various members take turns in singing. It happens quite a lot on the songs on this album. Against All Odds, you've got Ray and Waymer going at it. Recognise the struggle against all odds. I promise what we had won't fall into the wrong hands. Honestly, and like I say, it's 4 of their best ever songs, to be fair, released on here. So you couldn't really criticise them for holding something back for just a split release. And yeah, like I said, the stuff is okay. I just think that the Knuckledust stuff is that good on here that it'd blow any band away. But yeah, Blackfish Records 2001, Knuckledust and Un-ite.
Nice. Alright, number 3 for me, I've gone for Disclose Framtid, the Chainsaw Tour split from 04. And I've picked this, again, this gets a heavy rotation, but Disclose are a band I listen to a fair amount anyway. It's just legendary Japanese D-beat bands. I think it was the US tour, and they pressed this for it. It's just fucking pure oral assault, as you can imagine, from those 2 bands. I'd maybe say that isn't Framtid's best material, again, funny enough. But it's still great. They're still obviously a great band. I love the sound of Disclose on here, though. It's fucking brilliant. And we've talked about both bands before in various videos, most recently in the Japanese one, but every time I throw it on, just, fucking hell, the noise comes out the speaker, I love it. And I haven't got loads more to say about it, but I mean, if you don't know those 2 bands, you want to get on it and go and get some Japanese hardcore in your life, but this is a great fucking split.
Next. Praise God and pass the ammunition. Hard to swallow, Underclass, and check this out.
So good.
Where are we? Yes, look at that. Wallacey, Days of Fury. Look at that. Days of Fury, Wallacey, yes. So obviously, Hard to Swallow, a great band. Underclass do really well on this as well. Now, the reason I picked this, not only is it a really good split with some really good artwork, but also this represents quite an interesting time in UK hardcore for me. Post Heresy and Ripcord, pre Knuckledust, Freebase, all them bands. That little period where you had some really weird stuff coming out, really interesting stuff. You had like these, you had Voorhees, you had Stalingrad, Kitto, lots of really, really crazy sounding bands, and a lot of the most interesting stuff came out in the UK around that time. A lot of really interesting stuff that I think's kind of been a little bit forgotten by time, but this is a really, really good representation of that time. I definitely recommend giving it a listen.
Yeah, Hard to Swallow, fucking amazing.
Yeah, one of the best.
Definitely. Next one for me, Danny's just mentioned one of these bands actually. I've gone for Out Cold and Voorhees. So Out Cold are from Massachusetts, Voorhees are from Durham, Leeds way and that. It's fucking brilliant. Again, I'm a big fan of the Voorhees side, and the Out Cold side is great as well, but I prefer the Voorhees side. The fucking Crowd of One, Flick the Switch on here by Voorhees are two of my favourite tunes by them, like unbelievable. The Out Cold stuff's great too. Maybe, I don't know, the recording of it works, but it is definitely done on a cheap budget, I think. But it's just fucking incredible. Like I say, it's just, again, Out Cold kind of similar to Voorhees in that they're quite fast. It's brutal, but maybe a little bit more like those hardcore inflection-y things, like two-stepping a bit and that come out in it. But generally speaking, it's an assault on the fucking ears again. It's unbelievable. Yeah, and I mean, they're a great band, Voorhees anyway, but that is my fourth pick.
Next, I've gone Earslaughter, Chaos UK, and Extreme Noise Terror. I believe, I might be making a bold statement, but I think this came out, 86, 87? I believe that this, up until that point, was the best thing both bands had done. Now, you've got to put it into some context. Chaos UK had released that Blue album, I think, on Riot City, as well as Short Sharp Shock. Extreme Noise Terror, that Holocaust in Your Head. The Blue album specifically by Chaos UK is really, really rough sounding. Like I said a while ago on one of our videos, actually, and someone did agree with me in the comments, that when I first got that album many, many years ago, that Blue album by Chaos UK, I thought I'd been sold a dud because the sound was that bad. It sounded like it had been recorded underwater. They sound absolutely fantastic on this. The vocals are really clear. It's not amazingly produced, which you wouldn't expect, obviously, but you can hear what's going on this at least, and it sounds fantastic. Similarly, Holocaust in Your Head, which I do believe is a classic of 80s crust grindcore, whatever you want to call it. This sounds, I mean, some of the tunes that are on this are also on Holocaust in Your Head, there you go. But this is just, I just think this, it's a split album, so you've got 10 songs by each band, I think, or 10 on one and 8 on the other. But it's, honestly, it's so good. And like I say, I think up until this point, I think this is this was the best thing that both bands had actually put to vinyl. Wow. So yeah, that's Earslaughter by Chaos UK and Extreme Noise Terror.
Nice. Okay, so last one for me. Goes from some UK again. Heresy, Concrete Sox. This is Earache Records, Mosh number 2. Although I read somewhere, and someone can correct me if they want, that although this is Mosh number 2 and Mosh number 1 was the Accused's return of Martha, what's it called, Splatterhead? Yeah. That was slightly delayed, and this actually got released first. I could be wrong. Either way, I prefer this over that, the Accused album. This is fucking incredible. Great bands, both of them, obviously. Heresy, and Concrete Sox, very metallic influence, especially the Concrete Sox, I'd say. But Heresy definitely got like a thrashy, that kind of, the sound. It's raw, rough, but again, sounds amazing. Some of the Heresy songs, the song Nausea's on it. It's fucking brutal. It's brilliant. I love it. Love shit like that. That's my favourite period of UK hardcore. I think that kind of late 80s, mid to late 80s sound. But this is just, it's great. Unbelievable, like I say. If you can get hold of it, go and get it. Go and listen to it. Fucking quality stuff.
This is the only three-way, I believe. You didn't pick any three-ways,
no three-ways, no.
No, I've picked Southbound, South London Hardcore, featuring Kartel, Ninebar and Diction on Ruction Records. 9 songs. Now, it really gets going from the Ninebar songs, I believe. Now, again, these songs weren't available on anything else apart from this split. Now, it's got the best Diction stuff on here. Now, the Diction stuff on here is so good that when Diction finally released their first album, which was called From the Deep, I was slightly disappointed in it based upon how good the songs are on this. District and Live Till That Day especially are great tunes. I remember going way back in like 2005, seeing Diction in the underworld and diving on the singer's head for Live Till That Day. It was a really good song. Definitely Diction's best stuff. Now, Ninebar, it's worth getting just for the song Remorseless. Remorseless. Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. Trust no one. Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. Love no one. Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. Kill everyone. Da-dun. Oh, it's honestly, it's one of the, it's probably my favourite Ninebar song, and it's worth having just for that song. Other tunes include Forest Fires and Fuck BTP. Kartel, I was never too much of a, they were always one of my, I suppose, lesser favourite bands on Ruction. They were, I don't know, I was just never a huge Kartel fan, but you know, it's still alright. It's not, you know, it's not shit or anything. But Ninebar and District, I think, really, you know, it's the stuff on it is really good. And like I say, the District song, the Diction songs can't be found anywhere else but on here, and it's worth having just for Remorseless by Ninebar. So there you go.
Cool. So there's our picks.
I've just got to mention as well that one of my first pick would have been obviously the infamous Cursed record, E-Town Concrete, and Second to None, New Jersey Brotherhood. But I've got 3 copies of it, as I've said. One is defective on the E-Town Concrete side, one is defective on the Second to None side, and one is defective on both sides. That record has caused me far too much stress to pick it in this list, and I've mentioned it before. If not, you can go and see it on our Hidden Treasures video from how long ago?
Well,
a long time
a while ago.
Yeah, but if I had the proper version of it, that would definitely be on there, because that probably is my favourite split of all time.
Cool. Okay, well, there's our picks. Let us know yours in the comments, and you know the score. Like, subscribe, ring that bell if you want some notifications. Instagram, Facebook, give us some likes, follows, messages. We love it all. See you next time.